Hello, everyone. Hopefully you will be fine. So today's our topic is inheritance tax, and it is one of the most important topic for your exam perspective. So let's start. So inheritance tax. Before starting, so different bands I have to go through with you. There is a nil rate band, 325,000 pounds. So it means if the property value is 400,000 pound, so the first 325,000 pound will be exempt. The next one is resident nil rate band. Resident nil rate band is an additional allowance that government is giving, and it is available only to direct descendants. Like if you give a property, if the property has been inherited by direct children, grandchildren, like that, yeah. So this is only available. If you give to other relatives, it's not allowed, yeah. Then this 175,000 pound. And the inheritance tax rate is a 40%, and if there is anything lifetime transfer, that is 20%. And there are temporary relief as well. So years before death, if the person who has given a gift dies after 7 years, then uh, there is no tax that the person has to give. But if the person dies before 3 years, there is as well no reduction in inheritance tax. So these are the different bands we will go through. So let's start with our example number one. Say, sorry, we will do this death estate. What is death estate is on death, the assets owned by the deceased are valued and included in the death estate. If a property held in the estate is mortgaged, the mortgage will reduce the property value if it is repayment or interest on the mortgage. Endowment mortgages are not deducted as they are repaid on death by the life assurance part of the debt mortgage. The state should also be include the proceeds of any separate life insurance policy or the deceased life, not the market value of the policy at the date of death. The value of the estate will be reduced by any legally enforceable debts due at that date, credit cards, bills, plus funeral expenses, and by exempt bequests. So, bequests are exempt inheritance if made to spouse or civil partner. The available nil rate band is deducted from the value of the chargeable asset. The nil rate band, as I told you before, for 2021-22 is 325,000. The available nil rate band is 325,000 pound, reduced by the value of any lifetime chargeable transfers made by the deceased in the 7 years before that. The balance of the estate is then taxed at 40%. So this 325,000 pound, if the person dies, if the person during a life give any gift, yeah. So this nil rate band can be reduced from that one. We will see the examples. For individuals dying from 6th April 2017, there is an additional resident nil rate band that I told you before. So it is 175,000 pound for 2021-22. The resident nil rate band is only available where a main residence is held within the death estate and is inherited by the direct descendants like children and grandchildren. The value of the main resident for this purpose is after deducting any repayment mortgage or interest only mortgage secured on the property. If a main resident is valued after deduction of mortgage at less than the available nil rate band, then the resident nil rate band is reduced to the value of the resident. The inheritance liability has to be paid by the personal representative before they get letters of probate. Yeah, this is an important thing, allowing the estate to be distributed. The deadline to pay inheritance tax is 6 months after the end of the month in which the taxpayer died. The inheritance tax is suffered by the beneficiaries, usually the residuary legatee of the estate, the person receiving the balance of the estate after any specific legacies have been paid out. Let's see an example. D. Parted a spinster, never married, died on 1st February 2022, leaving an estate value of 0.75 million, which included her main resident valued at 0.4 million. So the total death estate was 0.75 million. Out of this, 1.4 million was the property. She made no chargeable transfer. During life, she did not make any transfer. And no, bequeathed her estate to be split equally between her nieces and nephews. So, as we discussed before, there are two types of bands available. One is a nil rate band, that is 325,000, and the other one is resident nil rate band, that is 175,000. So in this case, if you see, nil rate band is available 325, but resident nil rate band will not be available because the property was not inherited by children or grandchildren. It was to nieces and nephews. So let's solve this question now. So the total estate is 750,000 and 325,000 pound is a nil rate band. So there is no inheritance tax on this one. The remaining 425,000 pound, there is a 40% tax. So the total taxable able to HMRC will be 170,000. And when the D died on February, so it means February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So this 170,000 should have to be paid to government by 31st of August 2022 after 6 months. Okay, let's see another example now. If in illustration 2 that we have seen, Dee was married, yeah, at her date of death and left her entire estate to her children. Okay, now in this case, Dee is leaving the estate to children. They are direct descendant. As I told you before, if the property is inherited by direct children, then resident nil rate band is available as well. So the resident nil rate band is 175,000. If it was not inherited by the direct descendants, so it was not available. So in this case, it will be available. So 325,000 pound will be available, the nil rate band, and the additional is 175,000. That is a resident nil rate band. So total is 500,000 pounds. So the total value of the estate was here 750,000 pounds. So it means only 250,000 pounds will be taxed at 40%. So 100,000 will be payable to HMRC. Another example. Let's assume from illustration 2, D had made a chargeable transfer of value of 200,000 pounds in June 2020. Now it is different now. What first thing is we need to see when D died. D died on 1st of February 2022. And here, this 200,000 pounds, D made a chargeable transfer in June 2020 during a life, not after death. Compute the inheritance tax liability arising as a result of D's death. As the chargeable transfer made in the lifetime falls within the 7 years before the date of death, it will become chargeable as a result of D's death. It will, however, fall within the nil rate band of 325,000 in force at the date of the death. So no inheritance tax will be payable thereon. This will, however, mean that only 125,000 of the nil rate band will now be available in taxing the state of death. The inheritance tax payable on the chargeable estate will now be computed as 125,000 pound nil, yeah, and the remaining 625,000 is 250,000 pound the tax that needs to be paid. Yeah. So if we see in this one, no, it is 250,000 pound tax is too much tax needs to pay. In this case, let's see another example now. Transfer of unused nil rate band. Okay, now the question is, can the nil rate band be transferable between spouses? Yes, answer is yes. Let's see an example. If the above illustration, D was a widow and had received all of her husband's estate on her earlier death, and he had made no lifetime gifts, the husband would have made no chargeable transfer, as transfer between spouses are exempt. This is an important thing. Transfer between spouses are exempt. This would mean that 100% of nil rate band would have been unused. As D has then died, a claim may be made for the unused portion of husband's nil rate band. So the nil rate band will be now be 325,000 for herself and 325,000 for husband. So the total 650,000. So it means due to this additional 325,000 band, the tax saving is 130,000. Just as any unused normal nil rate band can be transferred to surviving spouse or civil partner, the resident nil rate band is also transferable if unused. It does not matter when the first spouse died. So yes, if in exam if you get MCQ question that is the nil rate band is transferable to between spouses, yes. Same like resident nil rate band transferable between spouses, yes. Another example. I'm giving you a lot of examples to make your concepts clear because it's one of the difficult topic in your exam, personal tax. If in my purpose is to make your concepts crystal clear. If in illustration 3 above, there was a widow when she died and her husband made full use of his normal rate band. So no, husband has already used the nil rate band 325,000, it's not available. Then the inheritance tax computation would be as follows. So the total state value is, the death state is 750,000. We know that 325,000 plus 175,000 for D plus 325,000 for the husband plus 175,000 for resident nil rate band for him. Total is equal to 1 million. From that 1 million, if we minus 325,000 that has already been used by the husband, so the total left is 675,000. There is no tax on that one, and the remaining is the property state value 750 minus 75 is 40%. Can you see? There is a huge tax saving in this case. Lifetime transfers are either exempt transfers, potentially exempt transfers, PET, or CLT, chargeable lifetime transfer. There are three categories. If any person transfer during life, there are three treatments. Let's see. First one is PET. A PET is a lifetime gift made by an individual to another individual. With a PET, the original assumption is that the gift will be exempt inheritance tax. There is therefore no inheritance liability at the date of the gift. If the donor survives more than 7 years from making the gift, the PET becomes fully exempt and is ignored for inheritance purposes. If the donor dies within 7 years of making the gift, it becomes chargeable on the death of the donor. Inheritance tax is payable at 40% on the value of the gift, less any available nil rate band. This is important. So if the person dies within 7 years, we need to minus first the nil rate band. If the taxpayer did survive for at least 3 years, however, from the date of the gift, any inheritance tax charge is reduced by the available taper relief. So this taper relief we will see in a minute. Any inheritance payable on pet is paid by the donee. Where more than one pet has occurred, where the person who died has given more than one gift during a year before death, the nil rate band is applied strictly on a chronological basis. For example, if I am going, if I am going to death, say tomorrow, yeah, and during my life I have given different gifts, say to A, B, C, D, E, F, yeah. I am live today, and today I give 7 gifts, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So the pet, so it will be first nil rate band I will apply on A, then on B, then on C, then on D, E, F. It's not like that first I give the nil rate band to E and then to B. No, it should be chronological order. Let's see an example. As an illustration 4, but D had made a 2 chargeable transfer in lifetime of 200,000 in June 2020 and August 2021. We know that D was died later in 2021. So here, if we see now, lifetime transfer charge on death. As D has made pets within 7 years of the date of death, these now become chargeable. Along with the chargeable estate, and inheritance tax may be computed as follows. So first 200,000 pound gift she had made, it is exempt because it is coming under, it is less than 325,000 pound. So it means this one fully allowance we have utilized. So 325,000 minus 200,000. So it means nil rate band left is 125,000. There is no inheritance tax on that. The remaining now 75,000 pound left. So because there was 200,000 pound gifts. So first was fully exempt because it was coming under nil rate band. Second one, 125,000 pound is coming under nil rate band. And the remaining, we need to charge the 40%. So the tax payable is 30,000. As the August 2021 pet is less than 3 years from the date of death, that was February 2022, no taper relief is available. If the person dies, if has given a gift and dies less than 3 years, then there is no taper relief, unfortunately. As the nil rate band has been fully used on the lifetime transfer, the entire chargeable estate of 7.5 million, 750,000 will be taxed at 40%, giving a further liability of 300,000 to be paid by the personal representative. Now here, the previous example that we did, we said that the death state was 750,000. In this case, we assume that if they made a gift during life, can you see the nil rate band we have already used? There is no nil rate band available now. So it means all the 750,000 property will be taxed at a 40%, unfortunately. It can be seen, therefore, that if a taxpayer survives for more than 7 years from the date of pet, it will be both exempt in its own right, and in addition will have no effect on the chargeability of either those lifetime transfers falling within the 7 years before death or on the chargeable estate itself. Illustration number 8 we will note now. If in illustration 4 and 7 there had been an earlier pet of 200,000 pounds 8 years before the date of death, this would be exempt and would have no effect on the amount of inheritance tax payable on either the later pets or or on the chargeable state. The resident, this is an important thing now. The resident nil rate ban does not apply to lifetime transfer that becomes chargeable as a result of the donor's death within 7 years and will only be used therefore in computing the inheritance tax payable on the death date. Important thing. The important thing is there are two types of allowances. One is nil rate band and the other one is a resident nil rate band. So nil rate band is 325,000 pound and the resident nil rate band is 175,000 pound. Resident nil rate band is not available any transfer during a life. Yeah, this is an important thing to remember. During a life, only nil rate band is available. After the death, yes, the resident nil rate band is available, but only for direct assignments. Another example. Daisy died on 13th of April 2022, leaving a death state valued 500,000, which included her main resident value at 360,000. Daisy's entire estate was left to her grandchildren. On June 30th, 2020, Daisy had made a PET transfer of 375 to 75,000 to her daughter. So it is during a life. So died was April 2022 and PET was during 2022. It looks less than 3 years. So PET was 375,000. 375,000 minus 325,000, that is a nil rate band, no tax need to be paid, and the remaining 50,000, 40% tax, inheritance tax equal to 20K. Now the death state, main resident is a 360 and 500 was the total value of the state. So 500 minus 360 is equal to 140. So 175,000 nil rate, so resident nil rate band is available. Yeah. So the remaining is now 325,000, that is 130,000 need to be paid. So as I told you, this resident nil rate band is not available during a lifetime transfer. And here you can see this 20,000 pound, this full amount need to be paid because she did not survive for more than 3 years after giving a gift. So there is no temporary relief available. We will see the example of temporary relief now in a minute. Here is a temporary relief. Here, this table, you need to be in front of you to solve this question. And then in the station 7, but the two lifetime transfer, 200,000 pound occur in 2017 and 18 respectively. So it means if during a lifetime, she made two gifts. One is January 17 and the other one is January 18. So this January 17 is fully exempt because it is coming under nil rate band. So 325,000 nil rate band minus 200,000 is equal to 125,000. There is no inheritance tax. The remaining 75,000 is a 40% tax, so 30,000 pound need to be paid. As the PET falls between 3 to 4 years, so there is a, if we see 3 to 4 years, 20% relief. So it means this 30,000 multiplied by 20%, we get a relief. Yeah, we need to pay only a 24,000 pound. Yeah. The nil rate band has been fully utilized on the lifetime transfer made in the 7 years before death. So the entire chargeable state of 750,000 will be taxed now. Yeah. Next example. It can now be seen that the amount of tax that arises on either transfer made in lifetime or death cannot be computed in isolation and is nothing to do with the circumstances of the donor, but all to do with the donor. Inheritance tax is a cumulative donor-based tax. Chargeable lifetime transfer. Chargeable lifetime transfer inheritance tax is chargeable at the date of the gift using the nil rate band in force. So actually, what is chargeable lifetime transfer? Chargeable lifetime transfer means anything, any transfer to a trust. Yeah. So if the person makes the during a lifetime, so there are two things. The first thing is the donor paid the tax or not? Yeah. So let's see an example. It will be more clear. A Bob made a chargeable transferred into a trust. The amount transferred to a trust is 400,000 pounds. In June 2017, she has made no previous lifetime transfer. The nil rate band in 2017-18 was 325,000. So chargeable lifetime transfer, the first 325,000 is nil, the remaining is 20%. So remember, lifetime transfer chargeable to trust, we don't do tax at 40%, it is a 20% tax, so 15,000 pounds. And remember, this gift to a trust was made during a lifetime. But if K said during her life, the whatever 400,000 pounds she is transferring, she wants to make a tax, she wants to make a payment of a tax, then you need to multiply this 75,000 instead of 20, you need to multiply by 25%, and need to add this amount into gross it up and to the 400,000 pounds. So it should be gifted amount will be 418,000 and 750. It will be 418,750, and the tax is 18,750. Okay. As the CLT is immediately chargeable to inheritance tax, it goes into the donor's inheritance tax accumulation using up his nil rate band for the next 7 years. If the donor dies within 7 years of a CLT, additional death tax may be due to top up the lifetime tax paid. The inheritance tax liability is calculated in the same way as the tax on PAT, with credit given for the taper relief and any lifetime tax paid. Let's see an example. So same example, 400,000 pound into a trust. K then died in December 21 and leaving a chargeable estate of 1 million pound. So this 400,000 pound out of this 325,000 is a nil rate band, 75,000 is a 40%, so 30,000 pound need to be paid as a chargeable lifetime transfer. The tax charge is now reduced by any available taper relief as with PAT, but also by any lifetime tax that was paid. Taper relief 40% for because she survived for 4 to 5 years, so it's going to reduce by 40% of 30,000 is 12,000, remaining is 18,000, and during lifetime already 15,000 part paid, so the remaining is 3,000. Okay, there are lifetime exemptions as well. The first one is annual exemption. The first 3,000 pound of gift each tax year is exempt. Any unused annual exempt amount is carried forward for a 1 year for use after the year's own annual exemption. The exemption is allocated to gifts on a strictly chronological basis. Marriage exemption. Next one. A gift in consideration of marriage or civil partnerships is exempt up to a certain limits for each of the parents of the bride or groom. So any gift that parents give to their children, like for on their marriage, up to 5,000 is exempt. For mortal ancestors and for parties to the marriage themselves, the exemption is 2,500. For others, it is 1,000 pound. This exemption, firstly, marriage if available, and then annual exemption are deducted from the transfer of value to compute the amount of chargeable transfer. Similarly, there are a few more gifts, things that are exempt. Any gift less than £250 per donee per tax year are exempt. However, if this is exceeded, the exemption is lost. The next one is gifts for family maintenance. Any gifts made to maintain family members are fully exempt. Normal expenditure of income. For the exemption, the donor must show a regular pattern of giving. Also, the donor must have enough income left to retain the normal standard of living. Let's see the example now. And before doing this example, what is your exam technique should have to be? This is a very complex chapter, but I tried myself to give you different examples to make your concepts clear. But now I'm going to tell you the exam technique. How do you do in your exam? First one, compute the chargeable transfer for each lifetime gift. Yeah. Then any CLTs have been made, any to trust, then you have to do that bit. And then on the death of the taxpayer, any lifetime transfers, CLTs or PATs made within 7 years. And number 4, the chargeable estate is now established and the tax thereon computed. So let's see this one, the first one, compute the chargeable transfer for each lifetime gift, illustration 13. So here, illustration 13, these are the gifts, chargeable transfer for each of the following lifetime transfer. A gift to her daughter of £2,000. Yes, we will write it here, £2,000. But we need to read this first. The gift on 9. Okay, sorry. We will continue. So gift of £2,000 to a daughter. £5,500 on wedding present. Yes. And gift to husband is not tax free. We said that between husband and wife. 8,000 to a nephew. Yes, it is bad, potentially exempt transfer. And gift of 200. As we said, any gift with less than £250 is exempt. Yeah. A gift to a trust. No, trust is CLT. So CLT is £100,000. And now solve this question now. So the first thing is we said that marriage allowance is £5,000 if it is given to son and daughter. Yeah. So this one, that's why we write it here, £5,000 marriage. Yeah. And this one, annual exempt allowance every year available is £3,000. So it means 19. So the year 2000, so 2020-21, the total available was 3,000. So 2,000 we use. So 1,000 left. So we can transfer that £1,000 to a next year. So next year when we transfer, we can use only 500 because 5,000 was the marriage allowance. Yeah, and the remaining left is 500. So it means for 2020-21, we did not use any annual exempt allowance. So it will be transferred automatically to the next year. And now here, this one is a £1,000 is a marriage. So what is 8,000? A gift to her nephew as a wedding of 8,000. We know that anything given to nephew is allowance is available only to £1,000. So this £3,000 is actually for 2020-21. So it means this year's this £3,000 is coming from that one, and for this year we have used only £500. So the 2,500 will be transferred to the next year. Yeah. Okay, in this way we will solve this question, and this is the exam technique that you have to follow. So hopefully you have learned a lot of things today. But still, if you don't understand anything, you can write in comments, and I will try my best to answer. Yeah. And I request you to please subscribe my channel and like it and share with your friends and family. And thank you very much.